Vessel of Friendship with Periscope. There it is. So now we are up. Let me just check out this sound. Do you guys ever do Cameo? Have you heard of that? For the doing the shout outs?
No, Cameo, the app where you
Yeah.
do the
Okay.
Not the band.
Someone
asks you, they pay you, and then you give them a birthday shout out or a shout out to their dad or
Right.
whatever they.
Yeah, that's I've been doing a couple of those.
How much do you make?
Brody Stevens cameo.
I mean, you can list them anywhere from $5 to like 100, 200, 20.
Just whore yourself out there.
Yeah.
Whore your voice. Yeah.
These are the sound effects.
I need those sound effects.
You do?
I need them in my life.
iPad beats. You can't get them?
I'm serious. There are certain things. Yeah.
Get out of the way. Move it.
There's an ice cream.
Musical. It's musical.
I need these. You don't need Coach T. You just have Brody. You understand? The roast battle. That's why I need it. Like if I ever did roast battle and you weren't hosting, I'd be hella mad. You know, sometimes when you're not available, I would literally just walk off. If you and Coach T and the whole crew wasn't there, if I'm there, I need everyone there.
It's just Josh Meyerowitz.
Yeah,
They don't even have a host. You just battle.
We're pre-potting right here. We have Tehran. Now, is that the full
Tehran. It's
Tehran.
It's kind of like the Madonna. It's like
I like it.
Jesus. You just throw out the one name.
Tehran.
You get it. Yeah.
Tehran. Brian Moses.
Yeah, not Tehran. Like it's
Tehran.
Actually, the way all of you said it was all wrong. And
Yeah.
here's the thing about
Oh, it was.
By the way, I was doing it on purpose.
I say save it for
I don't
the
even know your name.
Give us a gentle, because this is pre-potting
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
We're
just
pre-potting. Well, the concept is it's Persian, so it's actually Tehran, right?
Tehran.
But as long as you get the
roll it.
concepts in there, I'm happy.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like terror, like when Brody.
Did I say it like that?
It just felt.
I didn't say Tehran.
No, he always says
I said like Tehran.
Yeah.
Like terror.
Terror.
Not terror.
I like it.
Yeah.
So we got that. We got name enunciate. You do a lot of names, Brian, because you
All
are
I know
a
is
host.
names. Erica Ligney, Steven Stevens,
You got it. Stephen Brody Stevens.
Brian Moses.
Hello, I'm Tehran.
Tehran.
Yeah, see? Let me get the proper pronunciation.
Yeah.
Tehran.
And this would be
That's
you guys
sexual
are
when you say it like that.
you guys are friends. I like to see that friends. I assume. Oh, what do you mean? Because all
Actually-
African Americans are friends.
That's
First
exactly
of all,
what
he's
it
not
is.
even African American.
half.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
He just said Persian.
All right, fine.
I said half.
Half.
And you're full.
Yeah, full deep
Enjoy.
in balls deep African
In
American.
Africa, really?
I'm not. I say American black. I'm not African American. I'm not taking my Africanness away. I just feel like it should be implied. Like you see black, you're like, oh yeah, Africa. So I'm from America, but I'm also black. So I'm American black.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Save that for the podcast. So I'm doing some early.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
just,
vetting.
I'm just kind of like testing the waters here, see where we can go.
Dipping a toe in.
Oligny, anything I should mention you said about questions or what?
Yeah, so this will be the last time that the Festival of Friendship will be on Periscope. From now on, we're going to go to YouTube Live. So every week, you're going to go to YouTube Live for the Festival of Friendship. We'll put a link up on Facebook, Twitter, so you can go and get to that. If you have any questions that you want to send to the guests, you're not going to know who the guests are each week. You just send in questions that you think would be funny to ask somebody. Brody will pick some funny questions that you ask on Twitter, at BrodyIsMeFriend on Twitter.
So you're saying use Twitter to get questions for the audience?
Yeah. And they can interact with the show. You can hashtag it Festival of Friendship so you can see other people's questions.
Because the Periscope won't be running.
Because the Periscope won't be running, so we want to make you guys still feel like you're in Periscope, even though that we're not going to be having the Periscope.
Now, this is pre-pod right now. We may or may not. This could go on the podcast.
Yeah, it could. It could not. It's depending on the editing, but yeah.
Editing?
Yeah.
What do you mean editing?
I don't know. Isn't there don't you edit?
No, I don't.
Okay, well then there you go. It's
I'm
gonna
just
be on the
saying,
podcast.
like, we decided to record some of these pre-podcast moments.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe we'll roll into the show. Meaning, like, just go.
So this is like an imaginary line now. Like we don't know what the show is.
Well, no, I know what see,
This
a lot
really
of
is a festival.
But
yeah.
I do the
a lot of rooms.
I do the pre-pod, and I put it up on Periscope. I guess I could still continue to do that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right. So listen, I'm locked in. I'm ready to
right.
do this. Eric, you could chime in when you can. Keep me. Tell me what I need to say
You're on it. I think you.
in terms of notes.
I like that beanie.
You like it?
Yeah, I really do.
You should get them to sponsor you.
Well, they sent it to me
Did they really?
a couple
Listen,
years
I'm
ago.
all
I
about
had
it.
sponsorship.
Who are
for
they?
things.
Yeah, you have no idea.
All right. I say we're gonna.
I think we do.
I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna do like a minute or two. I'll keep it tight monologue, and then we'll just have you guys come out and we'll talk and relax and do that. You've done podcasting before. People are forced to listen to this, so you will get some listeners, and we'll go from there. All right, here we go. We're set. Emma's over there. I'm here. We're working on. Have you guys been in the studio here before?
I was just here a couple days ago with Maz.
Enjoy it. Maz Jabrani. He's got a new podcast.
Looking to buy the place.
Started.
Okay, here we go. Emma, I am prepared. And I'll start right here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yes, you got it. Hello, everybody. I am Stephen Brody Stevens, and welcome to the Festival of Friendship. It is back stronger than ever. Why say Festival of Sports when we are going beyond those associations? We are. This is all-encompassing. Not to say that I won't talk about sports, not to say that I won't talk about friendship. I just feel that I've done the Festival of Friendship. Festival of Sports is great, and that may branch off and be its own thing. But you know, each and every week for the last year, I have been coming to the studio on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. in Burbank, California, providing you with content. I'm good at that. You tell me where to go, I show up. You tell me to be Brody, I can do it. You tell me to do this, I can do it. You want me to open, close, host? What's that? So we already have somebody behind the scenes who made it. But you know what? It's radio, it's podcasting, it's Twitter, it's the whole. And by the way, this is the last time we're going to be on Periscope. We're going to start migrating into the YouTube arena. Periscope is great. It's good interaction. But I could also see that interaction on Twitter. If you want to ask a guest a question, now that I have somebody producing, somebody helping out, somebody who says, you know what, Brody, I'm looking to help. You need help, and I'll help you. And today, that guy doing that in that role is Eric Aligney. You've seen Aligney. He was here last week. He's been on the podcast recently, and there has been friction. There has been arguing. There has been stress. There has been confusion. But then you get to the point, and you just submit. You say, okay, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to judge. And if you want to provide another point of view, I'll take it. And I'll tell you what, Eric has been doing a great job booking guests. Can I book guests? Yes, I can. I certainly can. You know I can. I could probably do it all. But why not get somebody who most shows have a producer, have talent. Like Emma's been helping out here, working behind the scenes technically. She's doing a great job. She's been taking action, and I didn't ask, but now we're seeing that and go, oh, it feels good. All Things Comedy providing us with the microphones, with the headphones. Microphone, headphone. I did not micro and phone, headphone, micro. Their connection, microphone, headphone. Interesting. You speak into a microphone, you listen through a headphone. You speak into a headphone, you listen through a microphone. Nobody's ever said that statement. Those words are so similar, you would think they would get confused. Give me the headphones, I got to talk. Give me the microphone, I got to listen. That's never, ever happened. You would think it would, because those words are so similar. The root word, microphone, headphone. That's what you learn on a Stephen Brody Stevens Festival of Friendship podcast. You learn root meanings behind everyday artifacts that we utilize. I'm happy to be doing the show, having guests. Now, I could be crazy and you can go off into the Brody world, and that's fine and that's cool, but we have to start being honest, and we have to start utilizing connections, friendships, and looking at this podcast as a way for me to introduce friends of mine to my fans. But my fans probably know these guys. But that's the thing about a podcast. Oh, they all sound the same, but not really, because I'm on it. You're seeing different relationships. People say, oh, they've been on, maybe you've been on another podcast, but the energy here is different. Our relationship is different. I know both of these guys. They're both comedians. Today's guests are performers. They both host. They are solid guys. I've been around them enough to where you go, you know what? It's not an act. It's not phony. It's real. It's I know organic's a word overused, but authentic would be the word. And I appreciate what they do. And when Eric said, hey, we can get these two guys, they want to come in, let's do it. And I said, Eric, you're doing a good job with the booking. I trust your instincts. Let's make, and if, would I have done it myself, like I said? Maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe if I was in charge of this wouldn't have happened until later on this year. But now that I bring somebody in, because you can be strong when you're independent, but you're only when you work with others. You got to be intradependent, right? That independent, I'm strong on my own. Interdependent means I'm strong on my own, but I'm working with you and we're stronger together. Unity. And that's what we need in this holiday time. It is the holidays. You're listening to All Things Comedy. Stephen Brody Stevens. Check out the sponsors. I'm merging my old show. I had sponsors on the old show. I'm gaining sponsors here. The show is only growing, and I need to be doing this. Whether this is more for, I think podcasting is healthy. It's like talking, speak. It's scheduled social interaction. And people do enjoy listening to podcasts. They listen while they walk. They listen while they hike. They listen while they drive. And we're giving them some positive energy, and that's what they need. And that's not what just this podcast is about. It's about more than that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and bring out our two guests. This show is different. Many podcasts, the host is alone. The host has a one-on-one. The host may have a sidekick. Not on this show. We bring two guests out right in the beginning. That's what they do on the James Corden show now. That James Corden late show on CBS. He brings out the two guests right away. And that creates something different. That's an old school way of doing a TV show. I respect James Corden for that he mixes up the guidelines for a late talk show. This podcast is always growing. The title is changing. The identity of the podcast is changing. But I'll tell you what, I show up. I'm here. And I'm glad to have these two guests with me. The first man I'm looking at right now is a comedian. I see him on the billboard weekly, the marquee at the Laugh Factory. He hosts a very popular show at the Laugh Factory. It's every Monday night. It's been going. And when you think of Monday nights at the Laugh Factory, you think of this guy. He's put his mark on it. The lineups are unique. He's unique, diverse. And you know what? He works the boulevard. You see him working Sunset Boulevard because there's energy on that street, and people need it. People need it. And this guy's cool. He'll wear a robe. He'll wear a hat. He'll wear glasses. He may even have a cane at times. But he did injure himself recently, so that cane might actually serve a real physical purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, and I don't think I've had, I know you, the guest I'm about to introduce right now, has not been on the podcast. I don't think I've interviewed you because I've had a bunch of podcasts, and he seems disappointed, and rightly so. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring out right now and say hello to the man who hosts a great show. He's a comedian. He's an all-around good guy. And I'm going to learn about him today. We're going to learn about what makes them tick, where they're from, what they got going on. And we're just chatting. We're here providing conversation for you. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to my friend, Mr. Tehran. Yes, Tehran is here.
You are one of my favorite people on the planet. I don't know if you know how much I enjoy you. Always respond to my Twitter responses. I'm on your Twitter often.
Yeah.
And just your overall energiness. I really enjoy you as a person. And if you ever want to change professions, I really feel you could be a hypnotist. I feel like your voice is apt.
You think so?
It's just a very, it's both provocative and soothing at the same time. It's just a very excellent
Well, you have a great voice too, and I want to say thank
you
you for that. I was just freestyling there. I was kind of like searching for words, trying to not fumble, keep it going. You know, my body, my mind is changing, so I'm very aware of how I've been speaking and my thoughts. So I appreciate that you picked up on that. And the hypnotizing, that seems something that might be worth looking into.
It's a thing. I really believe in your ability to calm and soothe the soul.
Well, I appreciate that, and that voice right there, Tehran. I said it wrong. Now, how do you want me to say it? Go ahead.
As long as it's not Tehran, I'm happy.
It's Tehran.
Tehran. In that mode of, I was named after the capital of Iran.
I've heard of that place.
Yeah.
Tehran, Iran.
Tehran, Iran.
Tehran.
There you go.
You know, I did a show last night with Bill Burr, and he has problems reading too. I mean, he said that reading the teleprompter. I'm reading the teleprompter. He flubbed a couple, and he was making fun of himself like that. I have those issues too. So I get nervous, but I also think it's a muscle. It's a muscle, and you host, so you get it. This next guy on the show also is a host. He is a comedian. He is a good guy. I've known him for several years, many years. I feel comfortable with him. He gets me. He understands sports. We can talk sports today on this also, if you want to get into that. He is, I'm going to say, an inspirational story. Both of these guys, inspirational stories, what they're doing. This man had an idea. He took the idea. They nurtured the idea. And I'm sure he's spoken about it before, maybe not. And that idea sprouted into a popular show at the Comedy Store, one of the staples of the Comedy Store, up there in the belly room. You know it as the Roast Battle. And this guy helped create it, did it, and still going strong today. And he's on our show right now, and I'm honored to have here with Tehran our good friend, Brian Moses. Yes, Moses, here he is. All right, so I got all that out of the way. Thank
prickly,
you for
Brody.
listening.
I'm prickly.
You prickly?
You've had tons of podcasts, and this is the first time. It's 2018, Brody. I've known you since like 2010.
Well, I haven't been booking guests like I should.
No, you even made this thing in the beginning talking about, I may not even book these guys. It's like, Brody, I mean, come on.
I know, I should have. You're right. Brian, you're right. I should have had you on. Maybe I was nervous.
No, maybe I was nervous. I mean, I'm a big fan, just like Tehran.
Now, how do you say? You say Tehran.
Yeah.
Now, both of you guys, because you host shows,
Are black.
are African. If you can't tell through the mic,
I think people should know that.
but you brought it up. I didn't bring it
but
up.
it becomes, it actually, I can understand where it's actually a point of contention. It's a conversation.
Right. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
something that should be brought up.
Being
Yeah.
African American.
Just
This
the
is-
or
concept
black.
that both of us
Yes.
happen to be
Yeah.
black. Well, I'm half black. Moses, all black.
Yeah. I'm balls deep black. I'm all the way in.
And I'm not. I don't think I'm black, but I just did Ancestry.com
And?
DNA, and they're processing my saliva.
So you don't know.
I don't know yet.
You have some. You probably do.
I may have a percentage or two.
There might be some
If you're
Sephardic
Jewish,
origin.
right? Yeah.
I'm Jewish,
Africa.
born Jewish, raised Gemini.
Moroccans, yeah. Moroccans aren't they?
So there is a chance.
Ethiopians obviously have a very strong Jewish heritage.
They do, right?
They do.
So it could happen. Yeah, I did the DNA, and it's coming back. But I don't.
The only reason I say is because I've done other podcasts and people don't know.
They don't know.
It'd be like me and a bunch of white people, and they'd be like, "Oh, who was that guy saying like, no, he's black?" And they're like, "Oh, we didn't know."
Really, like on a podcast.
Yeah.
When they meet you for a first time.
No, because
The listeners.
Yeah, when you hear my voice, some people say I sound like some kind of white man.
He sounds very ethnically ambiguous.
I mean-
you can throw. He's American. That's as far as we can go.
There's a little bit of bass in my voice.
There's a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little bit, but it could be.
Do you ever hear that you sound like Wayne Brady at all?
I hear Wayne Brady. I hear Trevor Noah. I hear a lot. I hear a lot of guys I don't want to be compared to.
I don't know about Trevor Noah. Wayne
Yeah.
Brady's a very talented person.
Yeah, no, I
Love
fuck
to
with
be
Wayne Brady.
thing.
So you like? Wait, that's a compliment.
Yeah, I'll take it as that, listeners.
But it also means that
Prickly
he's a
Brody.
little whitewashed. That's what they're saying when they say that.
Yeah.
Well, you're from San Diego. That's a white area.
I'm not. I'm from. I was born in Los Angeles, but then I was raised in like really rural parts of California.
You
know
were?
what I mean? Yeah, like meth towns. You know what I mean?
And those are white. That's where you
All white,
got.
baby.
You speak meth.
Yeah, I speak meth. I speak it fluently.
Fluent meth. Yes, I can see that. Good call.
So you were raised in rural towns in Southern California.
Yes.
Can I hear a couple of those towns? Like where were they?
Oh man,
been?
Lemoore, California, which is like 45 minutes from Fresno.
Okay,
California. Which is
LEM.
another. I mean, there's just two terrible places in California: Fresno or anywhere near Fresno.
Yeah, Fresno gets a bad rap. Why
It
is
should.
that?
People still. I mean, listen, their thing used to be stealing cars. I don't know what it is today. but-
Headquarters of the KKK in
Oh,
California.
really? There you go.
It's so that's
By the way, a lot of those places I grew up were a lot of places like a lot of rednecks, or not rednecks, but skinheads and white supremacists were.
And also a lot
of desert towns.
conservatism in Fresno. I actually really like Fresno, but that's just
so Fresno.
A lot of meth there too, by the way.
There is. There's
Yeah.
meth everywhere. But Fresno is a conservative. It has conservative leanings.
very conservative.
I did not know that.
White farmers, yeah, they want to keep their money.
That's what they say. In
Yeah.
South. And now,
I'll hire cheap labor, but keep my white money.
so that's what they're doing. They're white guys who own the farm, and then they hire a couple of the
Yeah.
workers, the migrants. Is that what they're
Yeah.
called? And they pay them under the table or not much.
Yeah, cabbage.
So what do you think about? You brought up the farmers. And I don't really get political, but I'm sure you guys know about this. Like in South Africa, what do you think about that? They're taking the farm. Have you heard about? They're taking
Yes.
the farms away from the white guys. I don't know the story. I don't know, but you see, Brian seemed to be a little
Versed?
passionate about it.
In
And
South
versed.
Africa?
Yes.
Like what's your thing?
I
What's
don't
your
know.
take
I
on that?
don't actually. I don't know the story.
So the concept is in South Africa, because of after the settlement of apartheid and everything, they're saying that they're taking South Africa back for the South Africans, and they are reclaiming land that was handed down through the white apartheid generational, and saying that we're creating a more fair socioeconomic situation by
wow.
reclaiming land. Now, it's not as
Reparations.
black and white as everyone's making it. It's not as clear cut. And there's a lot of legalities behind it, but they are taking land back from, or at least amounts of land.
Oh, so they're doing like what we did the Indians, right? You're taking their lands, and you can't sit with us.
I look. Well, here's the deal. Like Indians. I don't want to get again. I don't want to get
Right,
native.
natives, right,
See,
yeah.
you pulled me into it.
I'm American. I'm sorry. I say Indian. I don't know any better.
I'm just saying this is a hot button topic, and I didn't realize when you opened my eyes, Brian, when you said the farmers up in Fresno, the white farmers, keeping all
People, yeah, don't get it twisted, Brody. A lot of people in California are conservative. It's a pseudo red state to me. You know,
It is. Once
Like,
you
yeah.
pass, it's like once you pass the 48th parallel and you go up north, sure. And then there's another place. Once you hit right about San Francisco, then you're back to liberal,
Yeah.
Right.
extreme liberalism in a lot of cases. But a lot of people forget how California is actually not just one state. It's possibly 4 different states in one.
Southern California,
agriculture,
Central.
military. You know, there's
San Joaquin
politics.
Valley.
Yeah, the San Joaquin Valley. Yeah, that's all like farmland. You know what I mean?
Hey, Tehran, you grew up where?
Washington, D.C.
Okay, so you
Tell
grew up
'em.
in D.C.
I am a
so
DC kid.
You know government. Was your family involved in that?
My family, in a way. So my mother is the commissioner of HUD and Housing and
shit.
Urban Development.
How with Henry Cisneros? Remember him?
Yes.
Right?
I don't remember him, but I know the
look him
name.
up.
But now currently working for Dr. Ben Carson.
Brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Actually a very smart person when it comes to surgery. He's actually
He has to
performed
be.
surgeries that no one else has performed. He has. Is he so good in government? That's yet to be determined.
No.
Housing urban development, of course, is the force that's supposed to be fighting gentrification. It's not doing the best job. So my mother, actually, this is a plight for her. And then my father is this immigrant who came to America to study and ended up staying because of the revolution and owns a business. So you put these two together, and with my background,
yeah.
I have double undergrad degree, a master's, and a law degree.
You do?
I do.
I'm not surprised, but you do.
Bathrobed it up, yeah.
What school, can I ask?
Yeah. I went to undergrad at George Mason and then Georgetown.
A lot of Georgias.
Yeah.
Georgetown, George Mason,
The DC area,
both good
too.
basketball.
Yeah.
That is a lot of Georgias. So you studied that. and so you're well versed.
I try to stay up to date. I don't have a particular political leaning because people try to rope me into this. Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? How about I'm an American? And whoever has a good idea, that's the best idea. Sometimes Republicans have really good ideas. Sometimes Democrats have really good ideas. Sometimes both of them have very bad ideas. And if political and politicians were more worried about being an American rather than being a Republican or a Democrat, then I think America would be a better place.
Oh yeah, I like what you're saying. So do people assume just because you're black African American, do they just assume, oh, you're liberal and you're political and you are against the conservative?
And you kneel and you, of course, people always make those assumptions.
They assume, and you're saying that.
No, don't make
not
those
necessarily.
Yeah, boxes are meant for things. Not
we don't
people.
vote. Shit.
You didn't vote.
I don't vote. Yeah.
Because you feel like it doesn't.
No. I'm ignorant on the issues. Like I don't read the issues.
A lot of people don't read.
Right, but I don't think they should vote. I think if you're not up to date on the issues, if you're not versed in the issues, you know what I mean, if you're not even like reading that pamphlet they send you, why are you voting? It's a popularity contest. You might fuck up. I don't want to fuck up.
No,
I disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's our civic duty to vote, simply because it's a right. It's a right that a lot of people are fighting for. Now, I do agree where I wish more people were well versed.
Mm-hmm.
It's confusing.
Hey, Brody.
Wait, hold on.
It's
we have our producer.
Brexit
We're in the
happens.
middle of a great pace right now. And as you can see, we have a producer voice off mic. He said, "Hey, Brody." Now the flow is being stopped. Now let's find out what he's saying, because I was really getting into this podcast. And then I hear off into the distance, "Hey, Brody." Okay, this better be good. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
So you mentioned right away that this was a hot button topic.
Yeah.
Usually what a hot button topic means is you shouldn't touch the button.
Right.
And now you've gone into a political talk, and that's not really what
I don't think we have.
It's pretty
Principles and politics are
Where we
very
are.
different things. So we're talking a lot of principles. If we were talking politics, we would be like, President Trump is no good or President Trump is great. That's not what we're doing at all. We're
See?
not touching the concepts of politics. However, speaking on principles of voting is a principle, has nothing to do with politics. Voting is about responsibility. It's about duty. It's about participation in
There you
government.
go.
And in the country that you are in, the same country that you're saying you're proud of or not proud of, how much are you actually participating? And it actually relates a lot to comedy. And I'll tell you how I think so is because I hear a lot of people that tell me they want to be comedians. And then I ask them, well, how often are you getting up? And if they say something like, oh, like once a month, twice a month, then you don't want to be a comedian. You just wish you were a comedian.
How about 3 times a week?
Still not good.
4?
I will never forget
And a
Jamar
Periscope.
Neighbors. Jamar Neighbors, and I'm watching him hit 3 to 5 mics a night, taking the bus to go to them, and walking by me and telling me he literally taking the bus. I believe at the time he lived in Compton, and he would take the bus, come up Sunset, and then walk to every open. There was an open mic at some bar down on Wilshire, and he would get to that, and then he would get back to a potluck, and then he would hit. And I was so impressed with that.
Oh yeah, dedication.
And it's not like even yourself, bro. You hit a lot of mics for someone who, at your level, whether you realize where you're at in comedy or not, a lot of people would slow down, and you don't. You don't slow down. You are hitting mic after mic. I've seen you do the store, the factory, same night, improv store. I mean, that's in
Look, I could be doing more. We could always be doing more.
Sure.
And I like how you say that. Sometimes you're in it and you don't realize. Like, people do notice. Like when people tell me they're fans of mine or they like what like what I've done. It's like I am surprised. I go, really? I don't notice that when I'm like in the middle of it, or even Instagram stories or tweets I put out. People come up to me if I do more Instagrams. Oh, hey, I like your Instagrams, and I don't always look at it that way. I'm like, I'm pleasantly surprised. When I see a fan, somebody says they like what, I am surprised. I'm go, really? I understand it, and it's a good feeling.
And you're fearless. That's something that people sometimes don't realize on stage, is that being able to be fearless. It's something that Tiffany Haddish has mastered, where you're unafraid. You are on stage and you're vulnerable and you're open. And that's something you do on stage and something you did on your show.
Did it on my show.
And you spoke about topics that people would not speak about. They would not talk about their psychological health. They would not talk about how they feel. And that's something that you do all the time, continuously.
Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. You know, if you're constantly talking about depression or PTSD, you know, you put it out in the universe, eventually you go, yeah, I guess everyone's depressed or whatever. But I try to, I was just like being honest. I wasn't saying like, oh, why me? I'm depressed. I go, I am. How did I get here? Why am I here?
Working through it.
What can we do? And I worked through it with friends, with podcasting, with stand-up, going to the different clubs. That's another thing. These comedy clubs, they serve as a community for people.
Very much so.
You know, the roast battle, your show, people are coming to the show because it's more than just a stand-up or the
scene,
roasting.
yeah.
It's a scene, and everybody's welcome. And I think for people who are like maybe lonely, you have a place to go. And that's a great thing about the Comedy Store is that it's like open to everybody. And then if you're funny, even better, you can get an opportunity with all the craziness that's going on. You can find that opportunity. Eric, I can't believe like you said that. Like
Steve Renazizi just said hello.
Steve Renazizi said hello. He was on the podcast last week.
This mic stinks, Brody.
It does. That could be the Steve Renazizi mic.
You know, it's not even that. You know, I take it back. It's a distinct smell. It smells like sex, and I don't know what kind of sex it is. And I think that's what's disturbing.
Probably
me.
masturbation.
I think it's from Punch Drunk.
Punch Drunk, maybe.
Oh, they. It's a lot of anal sex with those guys.
They're into that. Those kind of issues. They push it.
Right.
I'll say this.
Don't say anal sex and push it, Brody.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that could be painful.
Fearless.
I guess I'll say this. I'm going to be honest with you. Is that, yeah, it's easy to be fearless when, you know, maybe you're taking a pill. You have like a cushion. It's not life or death up there. Or people think you're funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I go up there. But I never performed in high school. I never performed in college. I was scared. I was fearful from being on the mic, fearful of putting myself out there. Now, I would play baseball, and I was a decent player. But comedy and public speaking, I was scared. But when I did that comedy for the first time, I liked it. I took my workshop at UCLA, and I took an acting class at Arizona State. And
rivals.
You got it. Rivals of UCLA and Arizona State. There you go. I went to both. There. Scouting, both schools. So I did it, but when I began comedy up in Seattle, 1994, which was grunge was still there, but it was kind of on the down.
Okay.
Because grunge was at its
height. This is post Cobain death?
Well, he passed away in 94. I was there. I moved up there in February of 94, and that's kind of when he died.
That was right there, yeah.
Yeah, I remember where I was at. I was staying out. And
how was comedy then? I mean, because that was like their king, you know what I mean? That was like Elvis dying.
Well, first of all, the comedy scene in Seattle, the reason why I went up there is because it was a scene. It was supportive. It was like...
Who was up there?
Joey Diaz was up there. Josh Wolf was up there. Craig Gass was up there.
Seattle?
Oh,
why
yeah.
Seattle?
Because it rained.
Uh-huh.
It was hidden up there.
Okay.
A lot of culture. Because I went to school, like I said, I went to school in Arizona. I had no urge to I felt like if you were different and weird in Arizona, they weren't into that.
Okay.
Like they just want to laugh. Whereas Seattle, you could be different. You could be weird. You could make mistakes and they'll be with it. And there was places to perform up there. I mean, Seattle is known for the arts more so than Phoenix.
Right.
Phoenix is known for like Southwestern culture and that sort of thing. But actual like acting and writing and
reality
performing,
programming, right.
It was Seattle. So I went up there.
The real world.
The real world was up there. And I did, I would do the open mics at Comedy Underground, Joey Diaz, Josh Wolf. We were like,
wow.
We'd all hang out, and it was at Swanee's in Pioneer Square, Monday and Tuesday nights. We would go there. And I would get up and I would get laughs. Like guys would be laughing at me if my jokes would go wrong. Oh, come on, I'm funny. I'm a nice guy. How dare you? And they would laugh. But I wasn't feeling great. It was like stressful for me. And I said, look, I want to like get out of my head. I'm like thinking about it too much. And then that's when I looked into maybe taking a pill to take the edge off. That's kind of what I did to like give my brain, chill my brain out. And I wasn't a big drinker. I never smoked pot or anything at that point. So then I started taking that. I took a Luvox, which is like an antidepressant, but it worked on, I think, obsessive thoughts.
Okay. You got this from a doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
This is actually University of Washington.
Okay,
This is not a
okay.
street vendor. This was not,
They're not big Luvox.
Right.
They're like, yo,
Man.
you need that Luvox, bro?
Seattle. I don't know what's up there.
Well, that was
Heroin is up there.
There was
Everyone's
heroin.
depressed. Everyone's depressed. It's
Yeah.
Seattle.
So
That's
I'm
the
saying, like,
concept,
wouldn't there be like a street
right?
guy?
It's the birthplace of
depression.
Nirvana.
Birthplace of
And
depression
Pearl
was
Jam.
Seattle.
No.
And maybe that's what happened. I got pulled into that depression trap.
Depressing culture.
It's possible, but I also feel like, hey, I'm away from home. I'm on my own.
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of on my own, but I'm on my own, and I'm finding out this new
Cobain's
world.
dead, yeah.
And I think that, yes, I played baseball. I always had structure. I was on a team, but sometimes maybe I didn't have those coping skills of being on myself, being responsible completely for myself, my own schedule, my own structure, my own money. It was, something added. And
Had you stopped playing baseball at this point when you were doing the comedy?
Yeah, I was done.
That could have added to the depression. You're losing the source of endorphin. So when you play a sport, the concept is you're releasing so much endorphin into your mind, and the higher the level, the more the endorphin. Maybe you were finding ways to self-medicate. That's why the comedy became a way to reach out and be able to create something where you're having that adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it was too numb for what you were used to. Look, the stress and pressure of a sport versus you just going up there and succeeding or not, when there's no actual end game, there is no score to tell you that you won.
Right.
So it was a substitute, but it wasn't good enough.
I mean, yeah, maybe I was up there like I was pitching.
Right,
trying to
exactly.
like strike everybody out.
Yeah.
And then if you give up a hit or a home run, I stink, I suck.
Exactly.
So I would play baseball and I would battle up there, and I can get passionate. Whereas in stand-up, you go in that red zone, or you get too passionate. Maybe you throw people off a little bit, maybe. But yeah, I could have been. I mean, I'm sure that had something to do with it, replacing that. I mean, that's why exercise is so important. But to be a competitive player.
Well, that's what people do, right? That's why Jordan was the gambling guy that he was. You need something to fill that. When Rihanna goes on stage and she performs for 100,000 people, you know what she does Monday? Comes home and feeds her cat. That just doesn't cut it. You become a little depressed. There's a high and there's a low. And you were used to a high, and you were like, whoa, I need something to...
You're right. Whatever goes up, it comes down. So it's like, you're right, the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
Well, I need a cat. That's what Eric says. Thank you, Eric. We'll get you in later. Don't worry. We're figuring out if he's like chimes in, once in a while. Maybe you can hop on the mic or whatever. We'll figure that out. This is evolving. But I'm getting back to. I just want to talk about the medication specifically.
Yes.
Me taking it up there,
Luvox.
and it just gave me that buffer to like be silly, be goofy, and not feel the stresses of it. Took me out of my head a little bit, and I was still Brody. It was like doing it. And I was there in Seattle for a few years, and I moved to New York. I wanted to go to New York. Joey Diaz said, I was drawn to going to New York City. As a kid, I always wanted to go there. My friend was working with the Yankees. It was a perfect opportunity to go out there and feel like, I could hang out. I could see the Yankees. I have a reason to not a reason, but that's pretty cool. And I didn't take medication. I was still learning about we know more how that stuff affects your body, so to stop it and start it. But I went there, and I was a tour guide at Radio City Music Hall. I barked at the Comedy Cellar. I did my own show on Monday nights, the Brody Stevens Festival of Laughter. I did that for like a year and a half. So I did all that without being on any kind of antidepressant, but I was always on the fence. And and then I got down a little bit, but I was ready to come home, and I came home back here to LA, and I started performing, and I got back on that. I got back on that Luvox, not Luvox. I got on Lexapro, but because for me, it was like, okay, now we have Facebook, now we've got Twitter, all this social media, the websites. I just felt that added pressure. So what I was getting at is I've been on that antidepressant for like 15, 17 years, quite a long time. An old friend. And when I went off it abruptly by mistake a few years ago, that's when I did my show.
You got a TV show, yeah.
It was already happening, but that kind of added to it. And that was a real thing. You know, I learned, like, you can't stop this stuff cold turkey.
Of course.
Great promotion, though.
Yeah, for stopping a cold turkey. It's like my head, not my head didn't explode, but it was like I was in a good mood. I wasn't in a bad mood. That was the thing. I was in a good mood.
Manic good?
Yeah, manic happy, like I can do anything kind of thing.
Right.
And it was out of character.
Oh.
For that's what threw people off. So what I'm getting at is, recently, I'd say about 6 months ago, I kind of like phased myself off. Because I felt my memory I felt like these medications were kind of affecting my memory a little bit, my energy levels, and through proper supervision, I'd have tapered down. And I've been off it for now. I'm like off it out of my system.
Good for you.
Even, and that's what people say. They say good for you. I'm talking about even cholesterol medication. I'm talking about mood stabilizer or Lamictal, which you would take with they don't always just give you Lexapro. They say, here's a Lexapro, and then you take this as like a backup just in case. So I was on that, and, I was working and doing stuff, but I'm more in tune right now being off it, but I don't have that. I don't know if that's like, maybe I'm fearful. You say I'm fearless. That's what triggered it, because I do feel fear now. I do feel some nerves.
Okay.
And even like doing this a little bit. And last night working with Ian Edwards, I went out there and I did the audience warm up. I went out there and did that. And, I've been going on the road and I'm doing it. And maybe nobody can see like what I'm feeling, but I feel kind of raw. And I think I need to just keep at it and get my reps in, get used to feeling this way, because this is how you're supposed to feel, I guess. When people say they're down, like everyone's down, I go, yeah, I guess I am. When I was taking a pill, I think possibly it took that away of being down.
Yeah. You had a safety net.
Yeah. So
was it possible it was a psychological crutch as well? You knew that you were taking the pill, and because you knew you were taking the pill, you felt you knew what it was supposed to do, and so we would do that doubly as well. So sure, there was a chemical reaction, but also you taking the pill, as we know, obviously, if you even take a pill that does nothing, we think it makes you better and you feel a little
placebo
better.
effect.
Exactly. It's a whole placebo.
Yeah.
So you knew you were taking the pill, and now you know you're not taking the pill.
I know I'm not yet. It's in my head. I think about it.
Exactly.
It's there you go. You're not taking it. So I just I'm trying to practice. And part of this is doing the podcast. Like, do a podcast, book the guests, be social. And these are not having like weird thoughts. I feel normal.
Right.
But
does that scare you?
A little bit, because I don't feel like I'm not saying I don't have the coping skills, but I don't know if I have the support system. When we say support system, like, wife, girlfriend, child, money, family, career. I don't know if I have that. So that's where I get, and then that compounds it. Then you start getting nervous, money, this. Now the nerves come into play. Oh, maybe I need a pill for the nerves. So, and then part of it's in my head, part of it's out of my head, and then you just have to believe and not question things. Like, I did a good job last night. People would say like I was fearful last night. I don't know. I went up there and I did it. So, what do you guys think about that? Or do you think a lot of comedians are on meds? Do you think it's
Yes.
is it a crutch? Is it a necessity?
I think it's a crutch more. For some it's a necessity, for some it is a crutch, But I think they're giving those pills to kids so young, it becomes a necessity, because when they get off, they have a chemical imbalance.
Right. They're given you get on that chemical medication merry-go-round,
right?
Roller coaster.
Your brain becomes attached to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it takes a while to get off it.
Yeah, it's in your blood, it's in your system. Yeah.
And I felt like maybe it helped, like me doing all those warm-ups. Just maybe if I wasn't, but I also have to say, I got to try it. At least let me try and be natural. Let me try and get the steps in, get the proper supplements.
You got to feel it, yeah. It hurts to feel it.
It hurts. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it hurts to feel it,
I
man.
have like a low mood.
Yeah.
And now I have to like, oh, Brody, you're positive. You're Mr. Energy.
Have to work through it.
Sure.
What do you think about that, Terry?
Well, let's say this.
And it's not all about me. We're talking more about meds.
Well,
like,
Okay.
the conversation
That's
with comedians. Personally, I've never even drank alcohol in my life, right? So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I've never tried anything. In fact, even after the surgery, because I did just get ACL surgery last week, for 2 days I was on Oxycontin.
ooh.
And I did not like how it made me feel. For the day of the surgery and then the day after, I did not like how it made me feel, so I stopped. I stopped cold turkey, which obviously, as you know, is not the best
You get a TV
decision.
show out of that.
Yeah, I should have got TV. I went through withdrawals. On the
For real?
third day, I went through the achy, sweaty, the whole nine. It was very bad.
That was a song. Achy, breaky.
Achy, breaky heart.
Achy,
I lived that achy, breaky heart life.
Full 9.
And I've never really been sick in my life. I was sick once when I was a child, and then again when I was like 22, I got the chicken pox randomly. And that was it. I've never dealt with this, and it was very difficult. So the reason I bring that up is because drugs has a very profound effect on you as a person. And you do know that they don't know how drugs work. I don't know if people actually know this. They only know that they do. They don't actually understand the composition of why things work the way they do. That's not my opinion. That's scientific discovery. So they're working on that path of why things do what they do. Now, comedy, people who go into comedy are also people who are often, they're like, oh, well, they're prone to depression and this and that. Well, is it that, or are those people drawn to comedy? It's kind of like being a police officer and you're like, well, why are all these bullies police officers? Well, look at the job that you're offering, and then those are the people that are drawn to that. So the job might be drawing people to it, and a lot of people, once again, self-medicating through alcohol, through drugs, through pills. I know
It's
a lot of
also-
people on Adderall.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And Xanax, I understand you have to take it sometimes as a kid because of the whole, Ritalin thing, and you have the ADHD. But I don't know. When I take Xanax, I feel like my soul's being taken.
Yeah.
So I've only taken it twice. I'm just like, there's no way that kids are doing this.
and
This
they're
is crazy.
and the kids are doing it all the time.
all the time. Bars, Xanny bars,
Xan bars.
And what does
Yeah.
it do? It just kind of like takes their
mellows
anxiety
you out.
away.
It makes you fall asleep.
But that's not great for stand-up.
No.
I
Or hip-hop.
because I do have, I did take Klonopin a little bit, very small dosage, and I would take
It's a fun
it.
name, by the way.
Klonopin. My mom would have to put the Klonopin in my Klondike bar. That's one of my bits. Like a dog, put it in there. But it would dull me a little bit. It would mess my thought process up. I wasn't like flowing, like
Yeah.
bing, bop, boom.
Takes your energy away. It's supposed to.
Right. So
So
is
they're
that
too hyper, so they need something to tranquilize them.
so that might be good for stand-up if you're nervous, right?
No.
No, it's not good. You're saying
you wanna
Xanax
be-
and Klonopin.
I mean, listen, you're putting on a performance. It's a performance art. You know what I mean? But I think what it is, in association with all the drugs they're taking, perhaps, it's you're being so vulnerable. It is like you're shooting up. You know what I mean? It's such a high up there if it's going well. And if it's not, then it's like, oh my God, there's a high there too. Your anxiety kicks in, you know what I mean? And so then your heart rate's going, you know what I mean? So it's like you're on a drug. You're being so vulnerable, they're not accepting it, or they are accepting it. Then you get off stage and it's all gone,
Right.
right?
Once you're off, you're
Yeah.
relieved. It's over.
The high is gone now, right? So, or you're still feeling the effects. You're like, oh, I'm feeling good. You're reeling it one way or another. Mm-hmm. So I think it's that. It's just like, oh, your brain. It can't. It's like playing sports.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah,
be.
your brain is flooded at
It's
that
the
point.
concept.
Yeah.
That's why when you say, okay, you can do a 5-minute guest spot and that guy runs the light, because you can't get off stage.
Yeah.
He's addicted. We're addicted to this drug of stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of comedians are. A lot of stand-up comedians are. They're addicted to the drug of stand-up.
Well, I mean, for me, it was. I took an acting class in college. I think I was funny around my teammates and my friends, and maybe a few times I said, "Oh, I want to be an actor. I like the attention." I was just, but I never took the acting class. I was a baseball player. I never would like hang out in the comedy clubs. We did as in high school, went to a couple comedy shows. But I took that acting workshop. I was trying to be a serious actor at Arizona State, and then they would start like laughing at me. It's like hard to be serious, and I really didn't know about stand-up comedy so much. It was like a new thing back in the 80s, late 80s or whatever. And I remember one of the football players said, "Brody, you should do stand-up." And I started thinking, stand-up comedy. So that's when I started writing jokes. It was like my final year at Arizona State. I never did any stand-up at Arizona State. So when I was done with college in 93, I said, I got to see if I like stand-up comedy. I mean, I'm feeling like I want to perform, and that's a way for me to maybe go to somewhere else. It wasn't like I want to be a stand-up and be at Madison Square Garden. I want to do stand-up so it could open doors for other things. That's what I saw. So then I took that workshop at UCLA because I needed structure. That's where I was coming from, Arizona State, baseball, structure. Then I also knew, because I grew up here in Los Angeles, in the Valley, and my mother, her boyfriend, he lived over on Alta Loma near the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
So in the mid-'80s, I'd be out on the balcony. I could see the Comedy Store, and you could see the lights of the Comedy Store, and you knew something was happening there, even though I was too young, but I felt that energy was like in me. And then when I had the opportunity to take the UCLA workshop and have Sandy Seashore be the instructor, she just passed away, may God bless her, Paulie's sister, I knew that, okay, I'm going to get Comedy Store instruction and then the graduation classes at the Comedy Store. Wow. So this is back in 1994, and I knew that I was already drawn to the Comedy Store. For some reason, I think maybe through Pauly Shore movies, and then living there, seeing the lights, the flashing lights, I was like drawn to that. So I would do the workshop every Wednesday or whatever to do 2 minutes at UCLA, and and I just wanted to see if I liked it, and I liked it. I was excited, and again, no meds, nothing. Excited about doing my stand-up, and I'd get up there, tell my jokes. They wouldn't go great necessarily, and then people would laugh at me reacting to that. And then I would talk to Sandy after the class, all about comedy and UFOs or all that stuff. And then every show, after every class, I'd drive by the Comedy Store and I'd look at it and go, okay, maybe one day I'll go in there. But I was so intimidated. And then like 12 weeks later or whatever, I did the graduation class at the Comedy Store, knocked it out of the park on a Sunday night, and I felt like, okay, I'm a comedian. That's what you do. People were giving me the business cards. Hey, you could do commercials or something. So it's feeling good. And then I did one open mic out in Chatsworth like a few days later. That's what you do. And I went there, and it was just it was miserable. It was a typical LA open mic.
Yeah.
And I got it. I get it. I just didn't want to go through that, especially in my neighborhood, the Valley. I just felt like to have an MC, somebody running the show, whatever kid, whatever, it's funny there, ain't funny here. I didn't want to deal with that. And I knew, because I was into education, just learn more. And I took a business comedy class. So I took a business, and that's where the teacher put in my head, he said, if you want to do comedy, get out of Los Angeles. Because I was living out in the Valley, I was working at the mall, I was just like too far out. I just had no crew, and I knew when he said go away, that's when I started looking into it. And it was like either go to Phoenix, where I had friends but no feel for performance, or Seattle. And I went to Seattle, and that's where I
Did you have any friends in Seattle when you went?
Just family. My dad's brothers lived up there, so I had some family.
So uncles, okay.
Yeah, and that's where I jumped into it, and then I got on that medication. I could see why comedians or performers do, like they'll take a shot, or maybe they'll smoke pot, or or some kind of drug.
Take the edge off.
Yeah, so that's what I did, and I'm not trying to run away from pills or whatever, but it's like I don't want that. You
don't want to feel this way. You don't want to feel that way.
I mean, look,
It's tough to sit in it.
To be what? To be
that raw. To be like, this I'm not in a good mood right now.
Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not supposed to feel good, Brody.
It doesn't feel. So you're saying that's a positive almost.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You get to feel again.
I am feeling.
Yeah. It's only going to expand you as a human. It's growth.
Yeah, I understand. I understand, and it's making me kind of, I'm thinking. It's making me revalue, look back at some of my relationships. I need to cultivate some of my friendships. It's forcing me to do that. Be real and be honest. And it doesn't feel good. And that's why I got to either write for it and just keep performing. Look, I got the podcast today. This is happening. That's not being taken away. I did the Ian thing last night. I'm doing so I am doing it, but And what do you think? Will it get better? Will I
Yes,
improve?
because it's almost like a sport in that sense of you're competing against the bad feelings because you're Mr. Positive Energy, right?
Right. I
So
have that extra level.
So exactly, you can power through it. And every time you power through it, you're like, oh, I beat it. You know what I mean?
You know, that's a very Western way of looking at things. It's very Western and very privileged to think of it like that. To always think you have to be happy. You know,
that's a good point, too.
And here's the thing: if someone dies in an American family, dies Friday, funeral Sunday, and by Tuesday they're like, you need to kind of be over it. But if you
That's straight
go
up.
somewhere Eastern, you know, if someone dies in the Middle East, there's a 7-day period. Then there's a whole production for the funeral. Then you come back and revisit it 40 days later, and then you bring it back the next year, and then you never let that die. And
love
that's why
that.
these people wail. And I don't know if we love it, but I'm just saying.
I mean, like, because then you're never forgotten about it. Because I feel like, yeah, we do forget about people so soon. You're just like, man, by the way, there've been so many mass shootings. You're just like, you don't even think about them anymore.
Right. Well, you forget about people.
Yeah.
And then also in this country, we don't put a lot of value on
Life.
or being a senior citizen. Like the wisdom, like in Asia, those
Sure.
old people are revered. We
Eastern
take,
value.
You know, here it's like,
Hide
you're
them,
not.
hide them away, put them in an old folks' home. In other cultures in the Middle East and going east from there, those people are in your home, in your face all the time, and they are bringing things up and talking, and you're very acclimated to being around family and everybody. In the United States, we're very individualistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you think we've hit what's the word, mass? Is it going to keep going? Like we know that the way we're going doesn't seem like people are getting happier. They're getting like things are going down. So do you think people might change a little bit? Like let's start valuing seniors. Let's start valuing being positive. Let's
No.
start. You don't think so?
As long as capitalism exists, I don't think you can.
So you think capitalism does it?
It creates competitiveness. So you're like, all right, get out of here. Darwinism kind of thing. Just like, yeah, get out. You're old. Beat it. You know
The
what I mean?
curse of the more. I want more. I need more. I
Yeah.
can do more. I can have more. I can
So you're saying that
I can see that.
capitalism is competitive, and then especially here in
Well,
Hollywood,
it creates individualism, right? Because like you're like, all right, I got mine. This is mine's. Nobody else's. I don't need to share this with the community. This is me. I did this myself. I earned this. So then you have that thing of like, oh, I did it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you want to keep it, and you don't want to share it because you're like, this is for me and my family. This is what I'm supposed to do. These are the structured values in America, right?
Right.
You get your own. You keep your own. You do your own thing.
and that's not
No,
Good.
it
It's not
takes a
fulfilling.
village, right?
Right.
So that's the mentality I think we should have.
I mean, you look at the roast battle. That's a show
It
That's
took a
a
village.
village.
It's a
It
village.
took a village to build that.
And I always talk about that because in comedy, I don't see crews. There aren't crews in comedy. There used to be a time where there were kind of crews, and now as it goes along, I know for a fact that people are waiting for me to die so they can just take my place, and that's how people look. You're in a line. You're in a grocery line, and everyone's just moving, waiting for their time to check out. And if the guy ahead of you dies, then you have to get there quicker. Or if you get to cut in line, then you get to get there quicker. But no one thinks, oh, well, if we all, live together, we could just buy our groceries together and we'd get a better deal. No one likes doing that.
Yeah.
And I always praise you for that, actually. There's a couple people like yourself that I see that are in that clique. The cliques.
appreciate it.
Gerard has a clique. Yourself have a clique.
But you look at these shows. You look at your show. You look at some other shows at the Comedy Store. That these are like group efforts.
Right. The Kiltonis, the Don Barrises of the world.
Right. Ding Dong Show.
Mm-hmm.
He's got everybody. So you're seeing an example of different productions and they're utilizing a lot of different people, and they have a run. They're successful.
Sure,
It's not like
but if we're going to be very honest on
Okay,
this,
we're
on
being-
the show,
this is honesty.
and we're talking about something like Kill Tony, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's led by a person. So when you're looking at Kill Tony, it's Tony, and then other people can possibly be interchangeable. What I'm seeing very different with even the roast battle is no one's interchangeable. You cannot do it without every component that's in there. And that even means the ones that we might take for granted or think are minuscule. Even when it comes to the battle, you can't replace that guy. You can't. And I really appreciate that. No knock to, of course, what Tony does. Tony has a great system working for him, but you still have the head of the dragon there. You don't have one with roast battle, and that's what a crew's kind of about.
It's a major team. It's a major team effort, and there's so many moving parts. Aligny's part of it. You know what I mean? It's just like this. That thing doesn't.
The wave, Coach
Yeah.
T. I mean, when I'm watching
It's
that,
constant
place,
growth in that show. I feel like it's a constant growth thing, and it's from. There's so many moving parts. You know, yourself is included in that. You know.
I always have an open invite to
Yeah.
swing by. How much time, Brian, do you put in each week to the roast battles? Is there a lot of is it running now smooth, or is it?
Sure, I think at this point, yeah, because people are constantly just wanting to do it. So now it's figuring out, just getting dates, and then seeing who wants to judge. Tehran, if you want to come by.
Tehran, now you have your show on Mondays.
I have a show every Monday and Thursday at the Laugh Factory, 10 p.m.
What's the Monday show? What's it called?
Monday's Comedy Bazaar, and the concept is because I'm Black and Persian, I try to bring this diverse group of I bring a good diverse group of comedians to a Middle Eastern crowd, and then Thursday is the Tehran show, where basically I bring comedians that I like to. Now we're going to a diverse crowd. It's not specifically a Persian, Middle Eastern, and Black crowd like Monday.
So let me get back. You're talking about how I like that you brought up earlier, people just assume that you think a certain way.
Sure.
But you are open-minded to that. Do you feel that your message is getting out? More people are listening to that and going, you know what, let's...
I think that that's what comedy allows as a format, right? So if we look at today's world, let's not... if Plato was still alive, if Aristotle was still alive, they wouldn't be philosophers, they'd be comedians. Who has made us think the most about race, family, politics? Jon Stewart is just a comedian. This isn't a guy who went to Harvard to become this political aficionado. No, this is a guy who's a comedian and fell into the realm of politics with a show that no one thought would work. And then 20 years later, arguably, I would say that he reelected a president on his own campaign. I mean, You're talking about we're moving mountains, whether it's on one side or on the right side or the left. It's the concept of the comedian, Dave Chappelle's white voice. Dave, don't do that, Dave. That's the guy that we all talk about on stage. It's the concepts that we bring up. Yourself, when you're on stage talking about mental health and positive energy. I remember you did the first time I had you at a show and you talked about positive energy. From that day, I was like, I only want positive energy around me. You changed my life.
Well, there you go. Well, because you know what? Because positive energy, it does work. Scientifically, you look at it, it does work. And I'm also only bringing what I brought to baseball teams, playing baseball at Arizona State. We have the most guys in the major leagues. You play baseball, your goal is to make it to the major leagues.
Sure.
So I went to a school. We've got the most guys right up there in the major leagues. So, what I learned there was positive energy, being a good teammate, being supportive, not having negative imagery, not saying stuff like "don't strike out, you suck," saying like "get on base, I got your back," and
nice.
And coming up with nicknames for players and playing off their numbers, like you're with the pitchers. We had to watch and like really, and be engaged, and that's where I picked up Enjoy It. Because I was homesick my freshman year, and I would go to McDonald's there in Tempe, Arizona, and the lady working at McDonald's was just so excited. She had a great attitude, and I'd order the Big Mac, and she would go, "Enjoy." It's like she's so happy, and it stuck with me. And then I went to Wendy's around the corner. I pull up to the drive-thru. Enjoy. She worked at Wendy's also.
Whoa, okay.
So you would think that there's like a contract where you're not allowed to do that. There's some type of
no
competition
rivals, no.
clause.
Yeah, she
making a living is making a living.
So she worked at both of those locations, and it stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like her happiness about working at a fast food establishment, and I just contagious. And then I took it to the baseball team. Enjoy us, enjoy that. So I mean, it's something that you see. Everyone does say enjoy. It's not like that uncommon, but for me, it was a big it was an eye-opener. So that stuck. And then also just when I started focusing on being positive, it helped my conditioning, my pitching, my studying. It was just...
Wow. That became a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of being like, F this, and that. So
you were anti-angst.
Anti-angst, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like pro.
In an angsty area. Or
And
era, sorry, an angsty era. You were like, Mr. We're better than that.
Yeah. I mean, I felt it. I was always, and I've spoken about this before, I was always a nice kid. Growing up in the Valley, I was a nice kid, and I don't think people like understood it necessarily. Like sometimes I took advantage of for being nice. You can get picked on for being always smiling. People would like, bro, you're always smiling. I guess I'm just happy. So you could get, people don't understand that sometimes.
Right.
So I have some issues growing up with that for being like bullied maybe a little bit for like being too nice. You're not supposed to be nice. So I had some of that, but I learned at the Arizona State. That's what I applied, and then I put it away for a few years. Went to Seattle. I was just learning stand up, and that's where I started learning about all different, people, all different lifestyles. Guys who didn't play sports, guys who smoked pot, guys who did this, guys who were like been arrested. I don't know, craziness.
Right.
You learned all that. Then I went to New York, and I learned about the big city, the energy of the city. I wanted to live there. Then when I came back and I worked at Best Damn Sports Show doing the audience warm-up, that's where I brought back in the Arizona State positive energy because rah-rah. I had a show every day, and it helped the production. It helped with laughs. It helped with guys not flubbing their lines, lights. You just saw little things like a light breaking because the energy's dead. Like what can go wrong will go wrong. But if you got that energy, boom, boom, boom. And then it just takes for a couple comedians or a couple people on the show to go, you appreciate it. It's like they get it. It's like it kept me going. And we did 1,000 shows there.
Yeah. It's a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. And and here's the other thing. I learned it from, through baseball. My friend was a coach with the Yankees. So when I went to New York, I saw the Yankees winning in New York City. And
they were positive.
They were positive. Like you could go out and be a Yankee player, and they partied. This is before cell phones. They partied. They were up to 5 a.m. They'd show up at the stadium drunk, I'm sure, some of these games.
Allegedly.
But you know what? They won. They hustled. They showed up on time. Like Joe Torre's rules were show up on time, hustle, and act like a professional and win. It's like the Yankees were expected to win. Like I was around them like so it was like, yes, it was kind of a corporate. Steinbrenner was around, but within that corporation, you could have your personality. You could do what you want. Just like when you're on the field, you got to have that New York Yankee emblem, show up on time, and they won. And I saw that. So then when I came back to LA, I just applied a lot of those philosophies into Best Damn Sports Show. And if you see these guys on Best Damn Sports Show, they're all over on they're still going on MLB, NFL. So I saw that. And then later on, just to continue that with the Cubs, like hanging around the baseball teams and seeing the Cubs win the World Series. And I was around them. My friend went on to work with the Cubs. So I was just bringing that positive energy to the Cubs, and I met these guys at all. When you start doing enough different shows, they start connecting the dots. So I saw results of that. So that's what I try to share with people. Is like, if you visualize, you manifest it, things can happen. And I also feel like the same thing with the Comedy Store. Just being at the Comedy Store, like those, Comedy Store was
negative. It still has its moments. But those late nights, I was there pushing it, and guys like, you were there, yeah. I was there, all these guys were there, like keeping it afloat late at night, keeping it going. I feel like, I did have something to do with the Comedy Store. I like to feel that. So what does that mean? I don't know. I know it means that there's something there with it. And then when I have guys like Tony or yourself and say, Brody, yeah, you positive push. You're like, okay. You changed the culture there. You really did. You brought a different culture there. They weren't really bringing comics like you around. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of the diehards, you know what I mean? Like guys who are like comedy fans, you know what I mean? Like they like guys like you. You're a champion of a lot of the misfits. You know what I mean? In a sense. So,
yeah, I mean, and I'm from here too. I grew up in LA, and I stuck up for the Valley. That's what I 818. Like when I first started, when I moved back to LA, and I did warm up, and I mentioned I was from the Valley. Like people would laugh, and I told my friends, like, yeah, keep talking about the Valley. It's funny because nobody would. And growing up here, you would see TV shows. They would put the Valley down, or Karate Kid or Boogie Nights. Oh, you're from Reseda. So that did that bothered me.
Sure.
That didn't give me confidence necessarily growing up in Reseda. But then when going to Reseda High School, grew up in Tarzana. But So I just pushed that, and it's like energy. And then I spoke to, speaking of like coaching, John Calipari, great NCAA basketball coach, Kentucky. He said it's all about energy. Energy. That's what he preaches. So, and I've been lucky enough to be able to hang out with some cool baseball teams, be in some worlds based off energy. Now, have I been able to capitalize on it? Have I been able to take it to that next level? I haven't yet, or I don't know, or maybe I have and I don't realize it. But that's kind of where I'm at. So, and maybe I'm down a little bit. Maybe the Lexapro enhanced it. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it gave you confidence, because that's kind of what positive energy does. It provides confidence, I guess, and confidence drives you. If you're not confident, you're not gonna do well.
Lexapro's a drug. Let's also say it's a drug that works. Let's not take away from Lexa. It's not like all it was some confidence. No. Lexapro changes your brain.
Yeah.
It does. It changes your chemistry.
It does change the chemistry, and it's very effective, sometimes overly effective. And in your case, it's something where you conditioned yourself to utilize it, use it. Now you're changing it on your own.
Well, I'm trying to give my old self a chance.
Sure.
I'm going back to my old self with some maturity, some jokes, some experiences. So let's see if we can go back there and help this guy out. Maybe, maybe not. It's worth a shot. I will say that when I did audience warm-up, I had to be in a great mood. You can't walk into a television set studio at 2 p.m. and be all negative. Oh, this and that. I had to go happy. And part of that was me not being stressed, meaning auditioning. I had to leave my house or my apartment or wherever at a certain time. So you couldn't be late. So it's not like, I'm in downtown auditioning and I'm over here. I cut all that stuff out. So I went in there and was like, eat a good meal during the day, have fun, maybe smoke some pot, exercise, and then go there and bring in that positive energy mood. And then you're done.
Yeah.
Then it's like, maybe go eat, go shop. And it's like, then you go do your stand-up at night. So I was doing that.
Yeah, it's a great routine.
Yeah. So
Keeps
now
you jazzed up.
Right. Now that I don't have that routine,
Been a little lost.
Hey, Brody.
Yeah, we have Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
Speaking of routine, it's 3:30 now.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe have a little game or.
All right, good idea, Eric. That's a great idea.
Before we get to the game, can I bring up a tweet that Brody brought to my attention? Yeah. Specifically, it was a tweet. If you're not on his Twitter, you should be. It's a tweet regarding a Canadian team leading a song.
Last night.
The Baby It's Cold Outside, they all sang along.
Yeah, a Canadian lacrosse team.
The lacrosse team. And it was just a very interesting story, and I wanted to get both of your takes on it.
Okay.
Well, a lacrosse team, that makes sense.
Around the song. You're a horrible person. You're just not a good person. It wasn't the Baylor fraternity lacrosse team.
It's Duke.
Okay. But
I like to put those stories out because...
Yes.
the song, It's Cold Outside, everyone's complaining about, or a lot of people.
It's about what they're saying is when we apply it to now, we realize that it is an application of rape culture.
I could see, if you do look at that, I guess you could say that.
Sure.
But you could probably say that about a lot of things.
Well, yeah, if you have to look back 50 years to find an offensive song, then you haven't been listening to music for the last 50 years.
Right.
Let's be very honest about that. But when it comes to that particular song, it's become, as Eric likes to talk about, hot button topics. That's a hot button topic, if not one. And Baby It's Cold Outside it's a classic song. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most beautifully sung songs since it was a duet. And people hadn't seen that. And, of course, it's a classic because of the artist that performed it. But as we look at it today, people are looking at it as it's an extremely offensive song because of the nature of the song, in which the female lead is saying no, 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 as the male lead is trying to manipulate the circumstance to get her to stay.
Right.
And then there's references to something being in her drink and things like that.
Spanish Fly.
Well, it's actually taken out of context. So if you look about at the time, the running joke at the time was, what's in this? Even though there's nothing in it. It's to allow you to act a certain way because you're referencing it's alcoholic in nature, but there's no alcohol in it. This is just you doing what you want to do, but society doesn't let you.
But I would love if people just let people I mean, just be intelligent. I mean, like that, I don't feel like that's not hard, right? To get that joke. She's like, "Oh, put something in your drink." She's like, "Oh, what is this?" I mean, come on, man. We're not dummies. We're not all dummies. You know, I understand parents. You know, I was a kid once, so I understand. You know, parents want to keep you from those things until you become adult enough. But I mean, come on, man. When I look back at Baby It's Cold Outside as a child, there's no reference to that. Even like I caught mommy kissing Santa Claus. Like I still wasn't thinking of it as like it's sexual. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. You know what I mean? Or that's kind of, yeah. It's like, oh, mommy knows Santa like that. That's what's up.
My mom cheated on my dad with Santa Claus.
See, I don't even think about it like that. You know?
So it brings back horrible memories. I cry every time.
But they're doing the same thing.
I get the juxtaposition.
You know, with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, they're saying he was bullied and his father was too hard on him.
Right.
And he was excluded from the reindeer game.
He was a cokehead. He had a red nose. He was always...
Pinocchio was a real boy. Geppetto just made him feel like that, so he just kept him on a string in his closet. You know?
So it's like we're at critical mass.
So what do you do? So what do you do?
You make fun of it, like those guys did in Canada.
Yes.
And hopefully there'll be like a little more backlash on this. Like this is it's a little much.
Yeah, you don't want to die on the Baby It's Cold Outside hill. I mean, but it is funny to poke and satirize it. Yeah, well, that's a great move.
Here's the thing, though. Possibly because both of you are comedians, right? Mm-hmm. So I would see that the pushing the envelope with comedians, what we find offensive and what the average person thinks is offensive, there's a huge bar, and we forget that all the time.
100%.
And if you hang out, if you date someone who's not in the industry, you learn that very quick. Because when you're making that joke and she's so offended, you're actually upset at her or him and going, why are you? And it's
but standards are shrinking. They're shrinking at a rapid rate. Is what I'm saying, though.
They are.
You know, because you can still. I mean, listen. Even 10 years ago, when I wasn't doing stand-up, I was still. They weren't as offended as they are now. You know what I mean?
Sure. Our standards.
And why are they more?
And your moms too. Yeah. If you talk to your parents, like they can tell you, like, hey, we don't run into that.
Well, yeah. If a show like Married with Children would never be on air today. Let's look at what Al Bundy did and the things he said, and now pick it apart. And this is what 15 years later.
Yeah, and they let him work on Modern Family. Sure, he shouldn't be on there for what he did on
TV.
Right, but he's acting.
What's South Park? South Park.
Well, South Park's unapologetic about it, right? So the concept with South Park is if you don't like it,
animated, dude. They get away with. You can get away with murder with animation. Yeah. You literally can't. Like that's a world that doesn't exist. So people actually they associate it with that.
But we're looking at.
You can be as offensive as you want to be with animation.
You can.
Yeah, the industry says as I'm saying.
Brody, we got 20 minutes left.
Okay, we got to wrap it up pretty soon. By the way, really good podcast.
I feel like there's some breakthroughs here. I learned a lot. Tehran, my goodness, man, you're a genius.
Thank
you. You are.
I appreciate both of you. #GeniusChrist. Find me on Twitter at I am Tehran. I mean, I appreciate coming from two intellectuals who I consider my peers and in some ways mentors. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, have you guys not been on a podcast before?
No, but we just play ball. You know, I see him around. I respect him, so it's almost like, you know, I'm a fan of his, that kind of thing.
And you know what? It's like you guys are good guys. And like, I know we talked about.
That's why we're probably drawn. I really have always liked Brian Moses.
But I don't say
I don't like most people.
Really?
And I think it's
you don't.
It's very. I think
like you like everybody.
No.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I'm cool.
Yeah, you are cool.
I like just to actually like someone. It takes a lot for me.
All right.
Yeah, and it's like race is, even though your handle is race banning.
Race banning. So I'm banning racism.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it doesn't come up. It's not applicable with you. You don't. Oh,
it's like Bear says, there's only one race.
The human race. Yeah, and if you could see people getting along, and
if only that was a real thing, that would be great. If only that was actually a thing. Oh my gosh, that's so.
But how could we get more people to think like you guys? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, well there's a way to do that. So what you do is you get Thanos.
I'm glad you asked.
To come to the Earth and eradicate everyone above the age of 5. Now here's my thing. Not even maybe 3. Let's. There's all that. Where does inherent bias begin, right? And then just let people grow. I don't. I mean,
but you know what the other thing is?
It doesn't matter. Listen, the machines are going to take over you guys.
we're
it's all
headed that
30
way.
years.
We
Yeah,
are
yeah,
headed that
yeah.
way, but
So get it in
there
when you
is
can.
hope.
Get the
There is
racism
hope.
in.
That's actually the funniest thing is when people are like, the machines are going to take over. No, they're not. The oligarchy has already taken over, and that's what people need to understand, is that we don't live in a democracy. We live in an oligarchy. We live in a system where 1% of the population owns the other 99%. All the good stuff is already taken. There's something like 1,937 billionaires on this planet, and I don't think people even understand the concept of a billionaire versus like a millionaire. People always think, oh, well, I have $1 million. You have $1 million. You must be rich. No, $1 million is nothing. A million in seconds. Like if 1 million were seconds, do you know how long 1 million seconds is?
Pretty quick.
If you had to guess, 1 million seconds.
A week.
How long?
No.
A week?
No. How many in a day? I'd say like 5 days.
5 days. Moses, any guess? Million
A
seconds?
million seconds.
Yeah.
I don't. 30 years. No. I would
30
say
days.
It's short,
What,
not
48,
that.
48 hours. I don't know.
Actually, it's 12 days. Give or
12
take,
days?
right? It's
Okay.
about
Oh.
12, a little over 12 days.
Okay.
Do you know how long 1 billion seconds is in comparison? That's 32 years. That's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. So when someone has
12 days,
$100
that
billion,
years.
dollars,
It's like I got
you're not
years
talking-
over you.
Yeah. So when you're talking about those billionaires and they have more money than everyone, like not just me, you, and Brody and all of us, but we're throwing in LeBron with us.
Right.
And
Right.
that's a control force where now that's who you should be way more afraid of. Is it in their best interest to have you on that Lexapro? Are they ever going
Yeah.
to allow for a good education? Why would you ever do that?
Right.
Like these are the things we should think of. We should be thinking of that. Yeah. Eric knows, but shout out to France right now. But
There you go. It's crazy over
yeah,
there.
machines are going to take over. The machine has taken over, and we know their names.
So
I love this.
Well,
Get your dad in you, bro. Jeez.
Eric, maybe we'll do
Revolution.
maybe we'll do the baseball card game.
I love this.
Baseball card game. Moses, you're gonna have to do this one.
All right.
This is Eric. You can get up here and hang out for this right now. Here he is, Eric Aligny, who's been helping out today. Give Eric Aligny a nice hand.
And Eric was also at the Thanksgiving Laugh Factory. What we do every year at the Laugh Factory is we give food to those who need it. I hate saying to the homeless because a lot of
It
people
really
there
isn't.
are not
It's-
homeless.
yeah, it's a lot of
This year we had a
community.
lot of people from Malibu. We had a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of people who were just, and if they were homeless, there were a lot of good-looking homeless people. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were like, whoa. But
That's
Eric
Los
comes
Angeles,
out every
though.
single year. So
Yeah, 8 years
kudos
now.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's I'd be home alone on Thanksgiving or
No,
Christmas.
man, we appreciate you because
Yeah.
he's one of
You
the
have
few
a
people
You
who
always
knows
bring
what
me
to
up
do.
and show me love, so I love
Yeah.
that. And you guys have a great podcast today.
You hear that, Brody?
Yeah, no, it was a great podcast.
Should've had us on
You
sooner,
guys
Brody.
have good chemistry, so that works. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Some good funny moments.
Were
You
you?
put this together. This is the
Thanks
guy
for
right
making
here.
it happen.
Did
Yeah.
you go
Eric
look
Aligny.
at? Was anyone? Were they saying anything in Twitter?
My phone was dying at the end of the Periscope,
Here
so I
we
didn't get
go.
to see it.
A
But
lot
I
of
saw
Proud
the
Boy
beginning.
shit. A lot of Proud Boy
No,
stuff.
the beginning of the Periscope, a lot of good comments. They really liked your. There was a conversation you got into that they were really. Everyone was just chiming in and getting into it. So
No, you know what this podcast brought? Good conversation.
yeah.
Unique conversation.
And they got mad at me for saying not to be political, and I was just like, okay, well, I can take a hit for that.
Well, I think you were a little out of line on that.
I might have been.
have to
But the
trust
thing
us.
is, here's the deal. When you guys were talking about it, I agreed with everything you were saying. I wasn't saying that. It was the fact that when I'm listening to it, I'm thinking about the person at home listening to it, and I'm going, would I be a person at home wanting to listen to anything close to politics when I'm trying to
Political
watch it?
fatigue. I get that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. And like talking about stand-up, I feel like on podcasts, we talk about stand-up on every podcast, so we shouldn't talk about stand-up as much because everyone's heard us talk about it. All these people are podcast nerds. They know everything about us. Well, they know more about us than we know about us.
Right.
And so they don't need to hear about it. They want to hear more about you guys and your personal life and like the nitty-gritty stuff.
I don't own a gun.
There you go. That's something new.
You don't?
I don't own a gun.
But we are two people of color in hoodies. Like we've never learned our lesson. Like both of us decided to wear hoodies today.
Yeah.
And they're black hoodies.
Yeah, we're daredevils. That's what we are.
Because I figured out if you wear a red hoodie, it's not as threatening.
It depends
That's
on what
crazy.
neighborhood you're
Yeah,
in,
that's
bro. I
crazy.
don't know.
Red hoodie.
Don't want to go to Inglewood in that red hoodie.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's or Long Beach. Right?
It's like driving a red car. You don't, cops are
Don't
gonna
wanna
look for
do
you.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the thing. The baseball card game, it's I would just kind of pick out a card just to be silly. And then it took on a life of its own. I would play with Aaron, who's not here today. He's one of the sound guys. I'd call in. Eric would play. And then we said, oh, let's keep doing it with the live show. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I feel like today The conversation was great. Like listening to you. I was enjoying it, listening. This was a good podcast. This is what we did today was a podcast.
It was a festival of friendship.
Yeah, friendship or just information. It was pleasant. No yelling, no craziness, or silly at times, but not that much. But it was necessary.
Okay. All right.
I want to say thank you.
Thank
I want to
you.
say thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, man.
And hopefully we didn't. I don't think we got too heavy on any.
No.
And I didn't want to make it all about me either.
Sure,
Which I don't
podcast.
think
It was only like half about you, so it was okay.
Well, medication, that's a real thing.
It is a very real thing.
But you did a good job of you reeled yourself in today, and I like that. Like today when you saw yourself doing it, you're like, it's not about me. We're talking about meds. We're not talking about me.
Oh yeah.
I saw you.
But we're
say
talking
that.
about me using
You framed
Right.
it. Yeah.
But here's
you,
the deal.
You saw yourself doing it, and that's the important part.
Very stand-up like.
Very stand-up.
Here's the premise. Here's where I come in.
But when you have two guests, this is new for me. I've only been having the two guests, several, like 5 or 6 shows. It was normally just me and a guest or me and nobody.
In the wall.
So this is a little bit of like juggling. And I think we're doing good. We are doing good. You guys are great.
Well, thank you.
Do you not have a podcast, your own podcast?
I do. I have a show called Imperfect Gentlemen where myself and a co-host, my friend George, we have 2 female guests on each week, and we decide on a topic, and they give us the female perspective on how we can be better men.
I like that. I like that. Tehran right there.
Oh, you're really helping people.
Perfect Gentlemen. Well, kind of. I try to convince the girls to let us keep being pieces of shit, but the concept is we're supposed to be learning how to be better men.
I like that. Brian,
The Roast Battle Podcast. Find it everywhere, please. Listen.
how often do you
Roast
do
Battle
that?
Podcast.
Once a week?
Yeah. We'll drop one every Thursday.
But you go by Verbal Violence, don't you? Oh no, not anymore.
Yeah, it's Roast Battle.
It's roast battle.
Yeah, check it out.
Own it.
Yeah, it's on Comedy Central. So please check it out.
Brian, I have a card here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1988 score. So he played in 88. These are not a nobody.
Okay.
Would you like to guess?
Is it 21 questions? Like, what? Do I have to keep going? Do I ask you more questions about them?
Well, we kind of play it. I'm going to hold
All
the
right. So
card.
from 88,
I'm holding the card.
88. All right. So you're holding the card. Was he MVP that year?
He's memorable.
Memorable from 88. Okay.
Not necessarily that year. He's memorable.
He's a big guy in the 80s.
80s, but he's probably more memorable for what he did in the 90s.
Is he a
actually.
Hall of Famer?
Not a Hall of Famer, but he did receive votes.
Wow. 88, dude, for the night. Is that Barry Bonds?
It's not Barry Bonds. That's a good guess.
Was he involved in any cocaine scandals?
No, he wasn't.
That takes
So
out
it's
two
not
Yeah, thanks,
Daryl
Wes.
Strawberry.
Right.
Dr.
It's
That was
not-
Mr. 80s.
Let's throw out that whole Rolodex of people. Okay.
Is it Griffey Jr.?
Now, I'll say this. You've mentioned 2 African-American guys.
Mm-hmm.
He is African-American.
Okay, thank you. All right.
That actually
does that
limits it,
narrow it?
especially in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Did he
That
play?
kinda helps.
Did he play outfield?
He was known for, not necessarily known for that.
Okay, so he's more of a hitter. Okay. God. Frank Thomas?
Not Frank Thomas. That's a good guess.
Rookie
That's a good
year
guess?
was
Okay, so
1990.
then
That's a good guess.
Is it Fielder or is it Albert Bell?
Now you say Albert Bell.
Mm-hmm. It is Albert Bell.
Same team.
Can you let Brian Moses guess, Eric? Just chill.
So same team.
relax,
So then it is
stop
Fielder.
shifting the energy.
My apologies.
You said Albert Bell.
I did say Albert Bell.
What team was he known for? Playing, mostly.
Albert Bell?
Yeah,
God, was that the Sox? Wasn't the Sox, was it?
wasn't the Sox.
I don't remember now.
Can I help?
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians.
Oh, really? Okay, so that was close.
So
I was
this
gonna say
guy
the Brewers
plays for the
next.
Indians.
The card that I'm holding,
He happens to play.
he was on the Cleveland Indians.
In 88. God.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
It's not tough.
In 88. Yeah. I mean, they were big because that was what was that? It was that movie.
Major League.
That was in the 90s though, wasn't it?
No, it was in
It
'88.
was in 88? Yeah, so they were popular
But
then.
here's the deal.
So it's Wesley Snipes.
It's not Wesley Snipes.
Ah,
Bo Jackson.
No, he's a
I
royal.
know, I was kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, I'm getting serious. I'm like, what happened?
This guy, yes, he played on the Indians.
Okay.
The card I'm holding does show him in a Cleveland Indian uniform.
But that's not what he's known for. He
He
played
is
for another team in
not-
the 90s. and
Look at
killed it.
Tehran. He's really figuring out the baseball card game.
Okay.
We're looking for an African-American baseball player who was on the Indians in the 80s, but he really made his mark in the sphere of Major League Baseball in the 90s.
In the 90s. So we're talking Indians in the 80s.
Mm.
So if we figure out who he played for and who he was in the 90s, we can work our way back.
Was it a National League team or an American League team in the 90s?
Who's getting the 90s? It was
In
black.
the 90s.
Something, and I'm going to say historic.
God, I know, because the Indians were big in the. Oh God,
Okay.
it's
So
tip of my tongue, dude. I don't. It's killing me.
I have no idea. I'm helping Moses at this point.
There is now we can do for time's sake.
Is
Again,
David Justice? No, because he was always a Brave, right?
Yeah.
he was on the
Well, he
Indians
was a Brave
also.
to start.
I thought he was on the Indians, right? Yeah.
But that was
You
the
know,
90s.
and you know this guy. I mean, I would
Personally?
Say, I would say there is a moment with him that you would know, and you would go, yes, that's an iconic moment.
Fuck. I gotta know this.
Now this is and now here's the thing. I'm holding the card right now. He's a nice guy. He's a happy guy. He's known for I would say a laugh and a smile.
Bernie Mac from
Right, Mr.
3000.
Thousand.
Kirby Puckett?
This is why it's now Eric.
No,
here's the deal.
Bucket, Mister. He was. Come on.
Now here's the deal, Eric. This is an example of can the baseball game live on in this podcast?
Yeah.
I don't know. You understand? Because the podcast today, for us to be doing a baseball card game after the podcast, I felt it was a great podcast.
It was a great podcast.
It was great. Now what we're doing is like, okay, I don't know, this and that, and you're trying to push something, Eric, that may not be feasible. And I've mentioned to you that before. Now you have made mistakes. Earlier on today, you stopped the podcast cold in its track, saying maybe we shouldn't go in that direction.
Yeah, Eric.
So you've been known to make some mistakes.
I mean, I've been known to make more than one or two mistakes, but no, I think the baseball card game is fun, and that it should stay, and that like even when it doesn't work, it
Is
works.
it Fred McGriff?
Really? No, it's not Fred McGriff. I don't know.
But he's obviously you both are having fun, obviously playing this.
But I don't know if they are.
I have already.
This is
can
great.
tell
By the way.
I've
This is
already-
funny.
I don't know if they're having fun.
I've exhausted my baseball
Knowledge, right?
knowledge
right.
at this point.
But what if there was
now.
like a football card or no?
He's a basketball guy.
I mean,
See,
even
Eric,
then.
you can't. You have to. There's something about energy and organic moments. This baseball card game started out of energy and organic moments.
Mary Stevens said to say hi to you guys.
Love her. I'm wearing her hat.
That was a question from Twitter.
That's what's up. Is it a person who's
Hi,
still
Mary
in
Stevens.
baseball today?
He's not in baseball today. He was not a pitcher. He was a hitter.
How about this? Is he still getting paid from baseball today?
Meaning, is he still in baseball and he's an executive right now?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
So it's not Bobby Bonilla.
It's not Bobby Bonilla, and I know
That's a
that
great one.
contract. I would say a similar player.
Can we get a first initial?
Yes. J.
Jay.
Oh, I hate
Come
you
on.
guys. Wait.
Hold on. There are only a finite amount of
He's on to
names.
something.
Yeah, because he's not a import, right?
He's not. He's American.
It's a black guy.
He's a black hitter from the 80s. How do I? There's
Not
no
a Dominican black guy. Black guy.
80s,
Puerto
but
Rican?
also think 90s, where he made his mark. It was a historic moment.
Who won in the 90s? Keep going.
Yeah, there
down
you
the
go.
List of who won. That's
Joe
what-
Carter?
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you play the baseball
That's how you
card.
play.
Oh!
That's what's up, bro.
I
There
knew
it
it.
is.
Yeah.
You see
didn't
that?
know he
I
played for
don't
the
know.
Indians.
By the way, you know how I remember that? You said iconic moment. I was just like, and I thought
Toronto
Jon
Blue
Stewart
Jays.
from Big Daddy talking about Joe Carter and the Hooters waitress he met in that movie Big Daddy.
And I saw Big Daddy
Boom.
Connections.
in New York City. I remember seeing it.
Yes.
Joe Carter, you know what? Also, Tehran said, let's start thinking like what he did. Where was this going on in the 90s? Toronto Blue Jays is where it
I forgot he was
happened.
an
Big deal.
Indian.
I did too. I didn't.
Played on the Indians. He was also on the Cubs. This is Joe Carter. Now, we got through it. That was a
Yeah.
good feeling to have. Moses, he really
You
enjoyed
know why you don't remember Joe Carter, though? Because it was in Toronto. Had it been in DC,
Oh, I
or
remember
there
it.
was in DC too.
I remember
at
it
the
because I
time.
was a Braves
At that
fan.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I
It
mean,
hurt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I could. I mean, we were all Braves.
But had
fans,
it been
I think.
like in Chicago,
You know
or
what I mean?
somewhere where
Yeah,
but a
yeah.
baseball town, you
especially
would've-
that guy, you would have been like, yeah, great
but-
black baseball player.
But
yeah.
you know, he hit the home run to win the World Series against the Phillies.
right.
1993, I believe it was, or 1992. So 93, when the Blue Jays beat the Braves, Joe Carter was playing first base. He touched the final out. Joe Carter, in both final victories for the Blue Jays, he touched the final play. He caught at first base the put out by the pitcher. I believe the pitcher, and he caught it, and then he hit the home run against the Phillies.
Why are you not a baseball announcer somewhere?
I should be, right?
100% with your voice, with the
Enthusiasm,
sound
the
effects,
knowledge.
the whole nine. You should be. If the Dodgers had you, they would have won.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to do, and I'm putting this out in the universe. I think hopefully maybe this spring training coming up in Arizona and Florida, we'll say mostly Arizona in February. All Things Comedy, I could be their baseball correspondent.
I think
That's
you could be
perfect.
for them. I think
That's
you need
perfect.
to pitch them.
I should be All Things Comedy baseball correspondent. Send me to spring training. Send me out during the season. I do a podcast. I do a video. I like baseball. I know baseball.
You are baseball.
I are baseball.
I are baseball.
And I would do that.
I've got my connection with the Tampa Bay Rays too.
I just need,
There you
there
go.
you go. Eric
What's your
knows.
Tampa Bay?
My mom's friend married Rick Nave, who's the CEO of the Rays.
Shout out Rick.
You didn't have
Nave.
to say it. Yeah, nobody
Should have
knows
been
that
your
name.
mom that married. Your mom
No,
let
she-
you down on this one.
Yeah. No, her boyfriend's also really well off. So
Oh, is he the CEO of the Rays?
Like that.
he's a pilot. He makes
Eh,
tons.
no. See, unless
They're
you're
both as sexy. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
Pilot's
I would-
pretty sexy.
I would think the pilot's sexy.
getting free. You getting free tickets? You flying free?
Oh yeah, I get some free stuff out of
Okay, well, fine.
it. It works out.
His mom's a Floridian, bro. He's doing great.
I'll tell you
By
what.
the
Dating
way,
a pilot,
it's the
by the way.
Rays. It's not like the Yankee. It's the Rays.
Nope.
Yeah,
well,
the Yankees Farm Club, right?
Right.
That's the-
I'll tell you
there it
what. Really proud of this podcast. Great conversation. You two were fantastic.
Thank
Put
you.
me at ease. Gave me some confidence. Gave me some, some things to work on as I leave the studio.
is. We talked about the Red Bull, Brody.
Don't have it. Do have
Yeah,
it.
you can't do it, man. Like do like a natural, like a coffee or a black tea. Go ahead, Taylor.
Actually, I have a energy drink that I'll bring you. I don't drink energy drinks, but they sent me a case, and I'll bring it to you. It's all natural, and people who are friends of mine who were on Red Bull started drinking this, and they're like, "Wow, feel so much cleaner."
Red
Yeah.
Bull does, or caffeine can make you a little edgy.
Sure.
It
Right,
does.
right. But that's got more in it than that. That's got like. you
Well,
know.
it's got 80 milligrams of
Yeah.
caffeine.
Well, how much sugar does it have?
It
This is
attacks the
sugar-free.
shit
Oh,
out of your
that's
liver.
good.
No, it's sugar-free. I used to do the same thing, and then I got a little research done to me about it. They were just like, you can't be doing Red Bull, even the sugar-free, because it's attacking your liver.
What,
It's
the
twice-
taurine
it's
does?
Twice as bad as soda.
Right.
Who says that?
Unless they sponsor us and then love the Red Bull.
Oh, Red
let's
Bull's
let's
awesome
let,
because you
let
got-
everyone
yeah.
know we're for sale.
I read up on.
That's a good point, actually.
I read up.
They have a
and
lot of money.
The taurine is not supposedly not bad for you,
Okay.
and the caffeine at this low level is not bad for you.
Right. I don't think it's the caffeine that's killing you. I think there's other things in there that are like
That we don't
crushing
know
you.
about.
That the stuff that gives you wings.
Yeah. That's the part.
That's
yeah,
the stuff
you
that's
shouldn't be
killing
having
you.
wings. Yeah,
Right.
You're a human.
Honestly, you're meant to drink
It's sending
water.
you to heaven.
Everything we drink outside of water and possibly juice, we're
Pushing
doing
it.
something
Okay.
to us. Whether our livers and kidneys or. And
So you're
everything
saying
else.
it's consider something if I go with coffee.
Yeah. Coffee.
I mean, Jeff Ross said that. I listened to him on Joe Rogan's podcast. He said he takes a coffee before he goes up, as opposed to a Red Bull. Coffee elevates him a little bit. Red Bull, like too much, but a coffee.
Yeah. I used to do the same thing. I used to drink one of those before the roast battle.
And
like
what would
before
happen? It'd
TV.
make
I would love the effect because I was I was on. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then I wouldn't sleep for 7 days.
See, I can sleep okay on this.
Yeah, that's probably a problem. That means you're like,
It's running through
you're
your
too
veins.
used to
it's
You're
crazy.
immune to
Yeah.
It's a
Effects.
small. I had a half of a small bottle.
All right, all right.
That's how it started.
Maybe
with
I'm just
the,
weaker. I don't know.
Lexapro.
Oh, there you go. I had a half of a small
Right.
Lexapro in it.
Yeah.
There's a Brody joke in there.
Your
then.
Klondike.
Red Bull gives you-
Klonopin and
Klondike.
Lexapro in my
Sounds
lasagna. Well, listen, guys, great podcast. Thank you very much.
Brody.
I would love to have you guys back. Eric, good job. Emma, good job. All Things Comedy, good job. And this will be the final Periscope. We're going to start doing YouTube.
YouTube Live starting next week, and so go into Twitter this week and put in your questions to Brody at Brody is me friend, and send in questions for next week. You're not going to know who the guest is. I already know who the guests are, but just send questions and we'll give them to the guests. And
Okay.
you don't need to know who they are.
We're involving the fans.
Let them be involved, and
That's
I think
what
they'll have
podcasts
fun.
like, right?
Right, yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Awesome job. Thanks, guys. Thank you, All Things Comedy. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tehran. I fumble on that I get nervous, but I
I'll
got it
take it.
right. Emma, Tehran.
I'll take 'em.
And have a great afternoon.
Did you want
Great.
to let
Oh, what's
them,
that?
Do you want to let them promote their whatever they need to promote, their Twitter or anything like that? The two guests.
Well, they kind of did, but you want to do it again?
Yeah, but I thought we did that already, right?
We did that already.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
You missed that. You've been here the whole time.
It was fast. It happened fast.
We did mention that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did mention that. You
Go.
can find me on Twitter, Instagram, all
Okay.
social media at I am Tehran. And every Monday and Thursday at 10 p.m. at the Laugh Factory. Please find me. And of
Sounds
course,
familiar.
But it doesn't
Imperfect
hurt to say it
Gentleman.
again.
And Imperfect Gentleman on iTunes and on Dash.
And we have the Comedy Central Roast Battle podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Every Thursday it drops.
And go watch Valley Vibes on YouTube.
I have Valley Vibes on
Another
YouTube.
one coming out
I like
soon.
that.
We're going to do another Valley Vibes, and then I say, let's put it out in the universe. Brody, All Things Comedy, baseball correspondent, because I can. Send me, I'll get there. Just hook me up somehow, and we'll give me a All Things Comedy Venmo account, and we'll go from there.
Oh yeah, and go on iTunes and leave a review and leave a 4 stars for the podcast. Go
Five.
five
Five
stars.
stars.
I thought I didn't know it was like Uber or whatever, but I don't have iTunes, so
As many
Why-
stars as possible.
Why do you not have iTunes?
I have all Samsung products.
They don't have iTunes on Samsung?
Nope.
No.
You sure?
SoundCloud.
Yeah, I have,
Yeah,
I have a note.
damn.
I have a
Okay.
Samsung phone.
I'd much rather have the Samsung than iTunes.
Yeah, by the way, people don't understand. The middle of the country doesn't even have iPhones.
They don't? They have
They're all
Samsung?
Samsung people, yeah. They're better phones, first of all.
Yeah.
And
A lot
yeah.
of people on on the
the
planet
world, right?
itself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Samsung.
Yeah, iTunes is a rich white man's phone.
They steal from each
But
other.
I got it, bro.
I like the new iPhone. It's
Yeah.
great. The camera.
iPhones are great.
And for everyone on Samsung's, the Festival of Friendship will be on SoundCloud very soon. Aaron is uploading it as we speak. So
SoundCloud rappers.
I'd much rather have the Samsung than iTunes.
Are we delayed?
The middle of the country
Let me see.
have iPhones.
They don't? They
They're all Samsung people, yeah.
Now, this would be
Better
echo
phones, first of
chamber.
all.
Hold on
Yeah.
1 second.
And-
Stay with me.
Sound like that? I do sound like a white guy.
Right,
exactly. Yeah. It's a rich white Gotta man's sound phone. like that sometimes.
They steal from each
But
other.
I got it, bro.
I like the new iPhone. It's great. The
iPhones are great.
And for everyone on Samsung,
Good stuff. Well, you know what? We'll do echo chamber another time. What a great podcast. Thank you very much, guys. Have an awesome week. We'll see you next time. Yes, you got it. All Things Comedy. Stephen Brody Stevens, the Festival of Friendship. Push and believe.